All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Or I should say, g'day, everybody, because this is another request from Wayback Greg. And Wayback, thank you for the request. So this is what Wayback has said. He says, "G'day, Mike." He said, "I'm not sure if you have done this, but check it out. It's about how ANZAC Day came about. 25th of April, 1916 was the first." So I got it up here. Y'all saw the introduction just like I did. We're going to get to, we're going to learn about this together. More than likely, people in Australia know all about this, but if they don't, this will be good for them. But it'll really be good for somebody like me who lives up here in Texas. And not Texas QLD, but Texas, United States. So, yeah. So let me bring that up, and I'm interested to see what this is going to be about. I know it's a big thing. It's a celebration of the Australians and the New Zealanders, their military, and for everything that they've sacrificed for the rest of y'all to be free. So, without further delay, man, I think we should just try it. What do y'all think? So here we go.
Every year in Australia, we commemorate a very important day in Australian history known as ANZAC Day. At this time of the year, you might sometimes bake ANZAC biscuits or stand in silence to reflect and remember ANZAC soldiers. But do you know who the ANZACs were and why it is important that we commemorate this day? In 1914, the world was in turmoil at the outbreak of World War I. Though Australia and New Zealand were considered young nations, both of these countries came together to help their British allies in the war. These soldiers were called ANZACs, which stands for Australia and New Zealand Army Corps. On the 25th of April 1915, the ANZACs travelled to a place called the Gallipoli Peninsula to capture the Turkish capital of Istanbul, known then as Constantinople. However, they were met by a fierce defence from Ottoman Turkish soldiers. What they had hoped to be a quick campaign turned out to be 8 months of brutal warfare. 8 months after their arrival, the ANZACs evacuated from Gallipoli, but not before many soldiers had given their life or suffered great injuries. In fact, over 10,000 ANZACs died at the fierce hand of the war at Gallipoli. Upon their return, Australia has commemorated ANZAC Day since the 25th of April 1916, 1 year after the ANZACs first arrived at Gallipoli. There are many symbols and emblems that you might recognise on ANZAC Day. Let's have a look at a few of them. Yum, an ANZAC biscuit. It can be fun to help bake these and even more fun to eat around ANZAC Day. But it's a bit funny to remember ANZAC Day by eating a biscuit, isn't it? Where did they come from? The ANZAC biscuit we have today is similar to a type of food many of the ANZAC soldiers carried with them. Because they didn't have fridges or shops to get food from, the soldiers needed to eat food that would not go bad over time. Many carried the first ANZAC biscuits, which were a substitute for bread. Though they can be a tasty treat, they also help us remember some of the struggles ANZAC soldiers went through. Another symbol you might recognize are flowers, such as red poppies or rosemary flowers. Red poppies were famously found growing in some of the most brutal locations of World War I, such as northern France and Belgium, after the war had ended. Rosemary flowers symbolize memory and were found scattered throughout the peninsula at Gallipoli. Because these flowers are very symbolic, they are used as a way for us to remember those fallen by war. They can often be seen being laid down in remembrance of fallen soldiers during days such as ANZAC Day. The original ANZAC Day was significant because not only was it a day to remember and pay respects to the families and friends of those that had died in war, it also played a major part in forming an Australian identity of courage and mateship that is still important today. Whilst the ANZAC legend lives on, soldiers from Australia have defended our country in other wars since World War I. This means that when we commemorate ANZAC Day, we remember those that have given their lives in service of our country on other occasions as well. There are many ways ANZAC Day is commemorated today. Often people will rise for a dawn service. These services are held at dawn each year because this was the same time ANZAC soldiers originally arrived on Gallipoli shores. What are some of the other ways we remember those in our past and present who have committed themselves to the service of our country on ANZAC Day?
Okay, man. So, thanks, Greg, for the request. So ANZAC Day, and I kind of had an idea of what it was about, and it's about the extreme bravery and sacrifice that these poor young guys, sacrificed for freedom all over the world, and it was in World War I, and just like the Marine Corps, and more than likely the other services in the United States, I just don't know that much about their history. I know about the Marine Corps history. It was brutal. World War I was brutal, and the Marines, just like what they're talking about here with the Anzacs, were incredibly brave. And that legacy that was instilled on them, and I guess punctuated by the German soldiers who faced the Marines, who were just outclassed, I guess. I mean, I don't outfought. I really don't make it gruesome, but they gave the Marine Corps they named the Marines over there. The Germans named them Teufel, which means devil dog. That's a loose translation, but to this day, we still, us Marines, we meet other Marines and we're like, hey, what's up, devil dog? So the reason why I'm bringing that up is I'm sure that after World War I, the Anzac guys who fought in World War II and other places after that, I mean, we had our own excursions, and I'm sure Australia, the Anzacs did too since then. But I know they were in Vietnam as well, and they were in Desert Storm. They were, they've been, a lot of times they've been, side by side with their American counterparts. And what I like to tell people is a lot of the Marine Corps mentality for each individual guy is that we're not going to let down those guys who made our reputation as far as back as World War I. And, we're going to make sure they didn't die in vain, that we're going to be just as aggressive and just as brutal as they were in World War I, and we're not going to show the fear, because then you're letting down those guys who may have paid that ultimate price back in World War I. And I'm speaking for the Anzacs too. I know I've told you all this before. I knew an Australian exchange officer that served with us in VMFA 314 back in the 80s. And he was no different than us, other than he had an accent and he said weird words that we didn't say over here. But what a great guy! And he was not gonna let down the ANZAC guys that came before him. He knew he was standing on their shoulders, and he brought with him a certain reputation when we didn't even know him, but we knew of the historic the historic battles and bravery of these wonderful Australian and New Zealand guys. So hats off to all the ANZAC guys. I know this is coming up on the 25th, so I'm gonna try to post this at that same time, so y'all don't see this before. And that'll be in honor of all you guys. Can you hear that? It's raining here in Texas. Okay, well, y'all, that's going to do it for me. Thanks for everybody for showing up. Till I see y'all again, I'll catch you down the road, and we'll just go to the outro, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, y'all, and happy ANZAC Day to all my Australian and New Zealand family. Bye, y'all.